All right, let's look at this one. I think this would be one of the likely question types. The manipulation of language in animal farm is a powerful tool used by the pigs to control the animals. Write an essay in which you describe two examples. So describe two examples of how the pigs manipulate language to their advantage. For one of the examples, discuss how it influences the animal's behavior or beliefs. Finally, analyze the effectiveness of Orwell's use of one literary technique in illustrating the manipulation of language. So that last part looks a little tricky, but it's not so tricky actually.
I already reached up to describe two examples, but I can give you what I have. So the first one I have is the iconic Milk and Apples, where I think it was Squealer convinces the animals that the milk and apples are all for the pigs, for them as, well, they use it for health and for brain power, even though it's obvious to us that they just wanted to have it all for themselves. And then the second the second example of how the pigs manipulate language to their advantage is the 7 commandments. And I only wrote down just 7 commandments, but if I remember, they changed the commandments so much that when the animals try to read it, they don't seem to recall, or the way that we the pigs manipulated the commandments to see fit them. The animals just have to simply oblige instead of questioning. Wait, that wasn't there before? Or I don't think that's not what the laws are supposed to be, or something like that. And I can give a guess for the second one too. For one of these examples, discuss how it influences the animal's behavior or beliefs. I believe for the 7 commandments, like the iconic one, all animals are equal, but some other animals are more equal than others. And I believe this is the part where all the other commandments have been erased. And this one only commandment somehow influences the animals' behaviors. And it also shows that the pigs have gained a sense of superiority, that the animals just have to simply accept it, or they just have to let it be as is, because they are frightened for their lives, if I believe so.
All right. Can you make a guess about the last part? What are some ideas here?
So finally, analyze the effectiveness of Orwell's use of one literary technique in illustrating the manipulation of language. I'm not too entirely sure about this one, but I don't want to keep anyone back, so
make a guess, man. Make a guess.
Oh, okay, so let's see.
Options like symbolism, contrast, irony, dramatic irony. All these techniques.
Well, let's see. So I can use irony for the milk and apples to show that the pigs, well, for the irony, the pigs are saying, or they're justifying the reason why they want all the milk and apples for themselves instead of for the animals, which is ironic because the reader, as us, the reader, we know that isn't the case. They just want it for themselves, which further shows the corruption. Even at the beginning of the novella, the corruption of Animal Farm as it slowly spirals down into chaos and, well, totalitarianism in the end. So
yeah, I would have to be specific. That is dramatic irony, which is that disconnect between what the readers can see very obviously and what the characters are unable to see. So for us, we can track and trace how the language is being morphed and shifted to suit the pigs' lifestyles and their desires. We can see that, but the other animals are oblivious. They can't recognize that, but the language used yesterday is different from the language used today. So there's dramatic irony because we, the reader, for us it's obvious, but for the animals in the novel, they have no idea what's going on. So that dramatic irony is a very important technique that Orwell uses to illustrate how language is manipulated Because we can see the manipulation, Squealer can see it because he's the one doing it, but nobody else seems to get it. I mean, Benjamin gets it, but he doesn't care, right? So dramatic irony, that's a good one. What are some other techniques we could use? We could use irony, regular situational irony, but then we'd probably have to focus on how the more the commandments are shifted, the further and further the pigs stray from animalism. Animalism is the point of this new regime. But as the language is morphed, they become less and less animalistic, if you would. And they just trend towards human. And so the twisting of the language is really a corruption of animalism, and it is kind of undoing the revolution. The more the language is refined, the less they seem to be anti-human, and the more they seem to be anti-animal. Yes, Paris.
Also, I just realized something that the manipulation of language be used to make reference to the fact that the pigs manipulate history itself to fit them. Like, for example, Napoleon, after he scared away Snowball with the dogs, he states that Snowball was a traitor. Actually, on several occurrences, like for example, when the windmill was destroyed, and of course, he states that Snowball is a traitor and he's working with Mr. Jones. And also, another fact to make mention is that he mentions that he himself was involved in the revolution, or the first revolution against the humans, which we know as the reader that he wasn't a part of the revolution, and Snowball was a part of the revolution. Even it states that Snowball himself got injured and he was awarded a medal, but he twists that. And considering that considering that the animals aren't able to understand or comprehend or remember what was the past, he somehow takes that, or actually takes advantage of that to fit him. And then another thing they did, well, obviously they changed the laws of the commandments, which also complements the history of Animal Farm changing.
I think that might be a slightly dangerous road, though, Varys. Kind of equating manipulation of language to manipulation of history. Because they might have a separate question in mind where you deal with how history is manipulated. So manipulation through language would be manipulation of history. But manipulation of the language itself would be how language that is already there or used is twisted and changed to suit the agenda. So what I would do is, if I get a question like this, I would stick to the commandments being changed, and I would stick to how animalism is being corrupted by the changing of the different slogans. For example, we started with, what was the original statement about 2 legs?
So it'll be 2 legs, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Right. And that got manipulated, right? That language was already there, and it got twisted to what? 4 legs good, 2 legs better. Something like that. So that is a way in which the language that's already there is changed or morphed or manipulated. But where we have history being manipulated with new language, that might be a little different. So I wouldn't include those aspects. I would stick to where the language is. You know, when politicians twist words and all of a sudden this word has a new meaning and they insert some commas where there shouldn't have been commas and stuff like that. So that is what I stick to. Because there are other questions that talk about the manipulation of history, as well as, you know, that is what relates to the manipulation of memory and the brainwashing. But I remember it that way. How are you going to gaslight me and tell me that this is what I remember? So a little different.